Hey there, welcome back. Today's topic is what is Mercury in retrograde? So we're going to kick off with talking about Mercury, which is ruled by, wait for it, Mercury, the god one. Big shocker on that. Anyway, so that's Merc. He's actually the god of communication, good fortune, commerce, fertility, and thievery, which is interesting. So when Mercury is in retrograde, apparently all of these things should be going wrong, which also makes me curious about thievery. Like if that's going wrong, wouldn't that be good for like the non-thieves? I don't know. I didn't really Google that part, but anyway. So what is Mercury in retrograde? Let's start with the sun, except it's space, so it's nighttime. So we have the sun and then all the planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, that's us, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, and all of them are in orbit around the sun. So for right now, let's just look at Mercury and Earth. Mercury is actually the fastest planet and jogs around the sun in about 88 days. So Mercury has basically 4 Mercury years for every 1 Earth year because it's so speedy. So retrograde means backwards movement, but it's not like Mercury like stops and turns around and moves backwards. What's actually happening is it's like when you're on the highway and there's a car up ahead of you moving forward, but it looks like the car is actually moving backwards. So that illusion is what we call retrograde, even though it's kind of not at all. It's just an optical illusion from the Earth's perspective. Also, while we're here, it's technically referred to as Mercury retrograde or apparent retrograde motion. Referring to it as Mercury in retrograde is like kind of a pop culture thing. Whatever. Anyway, so this all came from the Greek astronomer Ptolemy, who in 150 AD believed the Earth was the center of the solar system. Therefore, retrograde and prograde were used to describe motion in relation to the Earth. Today, it's known that planets move around the sun, as we saw, but we still use those terms to describe motion in relation to stars as seen by the Earth. Still with me? We good? So the first modern mention of Mercury retrograde was in the mid-18th century, and it was noted in British agricultural almanacs when farmers wanted to align the planting of their crops with the stars. Then there was a boom of spiritualism with the Victorian era, in which many people began to believe that stars affected the Earth in many, often inconvenient ways. And then it was mentioned in many magazines in the late 1800s. Mostly it was associated with heavy rainfall, but there was a vague, occasional mention of it being an ill omen. So along with sun signs and Western astrology, there was a boom in interest, especially since the rise of social media around 2009, and now there's a website literally just called ismercuryinretrograde.com. So now it's a cultural mainstay despite no real evidence that it actually does anything. In the words of Dr. Hammergren, astronomer at Chicago's Adler Planetarium, a car 20 feet away from you will exert a stronger pull of gravity than the planet Mercury does. So that is Mercury in retrograde. I hope you loved it. Stay tuned for my recap of Western astrology and zodiac signs.